Excuse me, ma'am. I need you to stop right there and come back inside for a moment.
We need you to account for your movements during the time the theft occurred.
I've been here all afternoon overseeing the new shipment.
Wrist. Light. Paid for. She knows that. Still, her heart tightens. Customer's turn. The store manager steps out from behind a rack of jackets. Mid-40s. Clean shirt. Name tag polished like armor. You forgot something, he says. She blinks. Excuse me? You didn't pay. The room shifts. Like air leaving a tire. I did, she says. Calm. Too calm. He smiles, thin and knowing. Then you won't mind opening your bag. Her fingers curl around the handles. I paid at register 3. He glances at the cashier. The cashier looks down. No receipt, the manager says. Louder now. And I watched you. Watched. A phone lifts near the candy aisle. Someone whispers. She feels heat climb her neck. Not fear. Pressure. I won't open my bag, she says. His smile fades. Then we'll do this the hard way. He taps his radio. Security starts walking over. The woman's chest tightens, just a little. Not because she's guilty. Because she knows what comes next. And because she knows, no one here knows who she really is. Yet. Oh. Open the bag. The manager's voice is calm now. Too calm. Security stops on either side of her. Close. Not touching. Yet. She feels the space shrink. I paid, she says again. He exhales through his nose. That's what they all say. There it is. Her jaw tightens. She keeps her hands still. Who is they? She asks. He ignores the question. Let's not make a scene. People are already watching. A woman near the register whispers, "Oh my God." A man near the door shakes his head and looks away. The cashier stares at the counter like it might save her. I'm asking you nicely, the manager says. Open the bag. I'm asking you professionally, she replies. Check your system. He laughs once. Short. Funny how your type always wants us to do extra work. Her chest tightens. My type, she says. He steps closer. You fit the pattern. The words land heavy. Sticky. Familiar. She feels eyes on her back. On her hair. On her skin. I won't open my bag, she says. I've done nothing wrong. Security shifts. One hand brushes a belt. The manager lifts his radio. Copy that. Possible theft. Uncooperative. Uncooperative. Her throat goes dry. You're calling the police, she says. Yes, he answers. And when they get here, we'll see how calm you are. A customer speaks up. She said she paid. The manager snaps his head around. Sir, stay out of it. The customer hesitates. Sits back into silence. The woman exhales slowly. She thinks of other stores. Other moments. Different faces. Same tone. She thinks of the email she hasn't answered yet. The reports waiting on her desk. Not now, she tells herself. Security closes the exit. You can't detain me, she says. We absolutely can, the manager replies. Until police arrive. Her pulse thumps. Loud in her ears. A teenage girl lifts her phone. Recording. Put that away, the manager barks. The girl doesn't. Good, the woman thinks. She doesn't say it. Minutes crawl. Every second feels watched. The manager folds his arms. Smug. Certain. You know, he says, if you just admit it, this goes easier. She looks at him. Really looks. I didn't steal, she says. But you already decided I did. He shrugs. I trust my instincts. Instincts. A siren wails outside. Someone gasps. The sound grows louder. Nearer. The manager smiles again. There we go, he says. Back up. Her stomach drops, not from fear. From knowing how quickly this can turn. Blue lights flash through the windows. The doors slide open. An authority walks in. The doors slide shut behind the officers. The sound is final. 2 uniforms. 1 man, 1 woman. Both calm. Both alert. The manager steps forward fast. She's the one, he says. Caught her trying to walk out. The male officer nods without looking at her. Is that true? She answers him, not the manager. No. The officer finally turns. His eyes move over her, slow. Shoes. Coat. Hair. Bag, he says. I paid, she replies. You can check the register. The manager cuts in. She refused earlier. Got defensive. Defensive. The officer exhales. Just cooperate and this ends. Her fingers tighten. She keeps her voice even. I am cooperating. I'm asking you to verify. The female officer steps closer. Not aggressive. Curious. Why won't you open the bag, she asks. Because I don't consent to a search without cause. The male officer's jaw tightens. This isn't a courtroom. No, she says. But it's still the law. The manager laughs softly. See what I mean? The officer ignores him this time. Name, the officer says. She gives it. ID. She hands it over. He studies it longer than necessary. Do you have anything illegal in the bag? No. Then opening it wouldn't be a problem. It is when I'm being accused without proof. Silence stretches. People are watching openly now. A man near the drinks whispers, "This is messed up." The officer turns. "Sir, step back." The man does. The female officer leans in. Low voice. "Help us help you," she says. The woman meets her eyes. "I've done nothing wrong." The male officer hands the ID back. "All right," he says. "Here's what's going to happen. We're going to detain you while we investigate." Detain. For how long? She asks. As long as it takes. The word hangs heavy. You don't have grounds, she says. He steps closer. Close enough that she smells coffee on his breath. Suspicion is grounds. The manager folds his arms. Satisfied. The female officer shifts. We can run the receipt first. The manager snaps. That takes time. The male officer nods. And we don't want a scene. The woman lets out a breath through her nose. A scene already happened, she says. The officer's eyes harden. Turn around. Her heart stutters. For what? Standard procedure. The cuffs come off his belt. A murmur ripples through the store. Someone gasps. A phone zooms in. The older man from earlier steps forward. She didn't do anything. Sir, the officer warns. She paid, the man insists. I saw her. The officer hesitates. The manager snaps, "Are you questioning my staff?" The officer looks between them. The woman speaks before he decides. Check the cameras, she says. Check the register. All of it. The female officer meets her partner's eyes. We should verify, she says quietly. The male officer exhales. Long annoyed. Fine. He turns to the manager. Show us the transaction. The manager stiffens. Our system's slow. Show us, the officer repeats. The manager leads them toward the counter. The female officer stays with her. You okay? She asks under her breath. I will be, the woman says. The officer nods once. At the register, the manager types fast. Too fast. The screen loads. Transactions scroll. The officer leans in. That one, the woman says from across the store. Register 3. 5 minutes ago. The manager freezes. That's, he clears his throat. That's not hers. The cashier finally looks up. Yes, it is, she says. Quiet. She paid. The store goes silent. The officer turns slowly. Is that true? He asks the cashier. The cashier swallows. Nods. Yes. The manager snaps, You're mistaken. I'm not, she says. Louder now. The male officer straightens. So she paid, he says. The manager's face flushes. Well, people return items all the time. The woman laughs once. Sharp. You didn't accuse me of returning, she says. You accused me of stealing. The officer looks at the cuffs in his hand. Then at her. Then at the manager. Sir, he says, we need to talk. The manager opens his mouth. A ringtone cuts through the air. The officer checks his phone. His expression changes. Dispatch wants a word, he says. He steps aside. The woman watches him answer. Watches his posture shift. And knows. This isn't over yet. The officer lowers his phone slowly. The store feels smaller now, like the walls leaned in while he was listening. He looks at the manager. Not with trust. Not yet with doubt. Sir, he says, how long have you worked here? The manager blinks. What? How long? 8 years, he snaps. Why does that matter? The officer doesn't answer. He turns to his partner. Pull prior calls at this location. The manager stiffens. That's unnecessary. The female officer is already typing. The woman stands still near the exit. Her hands are loose at her sides now. Her heart is steady. She watches everything. A customer whispers, "Oh." The officer clears his throat. We've had a few incidents here. The manager laughs. Too loud. Retail theft happens everywhere. The officer doesn't smile. These aren't theft calls, he says. These are complaints. Silence drops hard. The older man near the door shifts his weight. Complaints about what? The manager asks. The female officer looks up. Racial profiling. The word lands like glass. Someone gasps. The manager's face tightens. That's ridiculous. The woman feels it then. A flicker. Not relief. Recognition. She's not alone. The officer glances at her. Have you shopped here before? Yes. Any issues? She pauses. Chooses her words. Enough to remember. The manager snaps, "You're fishing." The officer turns. "Sir, step back." The manager hesitates. Then obeys. The female officer scrolls. 4 complaints in 2 years. Similar description. She looks up. Black customers. Accusations. Detainment. A low murmur spreads through the store. The cashier's hands start to shake. I didn't know, she whispers. The manager points at her. You're lying. The officer steps between them. That's enough. The woman watches the manager's confidence drain, drop by drop. The officer turns back to her. Did he search you? No. Did he try to? Yes. Did he call us before checking the register? Yes. The officer nods slowly. The female officer looks at the manager. Why didn't you verify the purchase first? The manager opens his mouth. Closes it. I trusted my instincts. There it is again. The woman feels anger rise. Hot. Familiar. Your instincts cost people dignity, she says. The manager snaps back. You don't know what it's like running a store. She meets his eyes. You don't know what it's like being treated like a crime. The officer clears his throat. Sir, he says to the manager, we're going to need your supervisor's contact. The manager scoffs. This is a waste of time. The officer's voice sharpens. Now. The manager pulls out his phone. Hands shaking. The female officer steps closer to the woman. You okay? She asks. The woman nods. I've been worse. The officer pauses. That shouldn't be normal. No, the woman says. But it is. The phone rings on the manager's end. Hey, yeah, I've got an issue, he says. Customer causing trouble. The officer interrupts. This isn't about a customer. The manager looks startled. This is about your conduct. The woman watches the manager's eyes flick to her. Narrow. Angry. Afraid. The call ends. The manager pockets his phone. They're sending someone, he says. Happy? The officer nods. Yes. A beat. The female officer's screen beeps. There's more, she says. She turns the phone so her partner can see. 3 internal reports. Same manager. The officer exhales. The woman closes her eyes briefly. She feels the weight of it. Not victory. Exposure. A younger woman near the aisle speaks up. He did that to my brother. Everyone turns. He accused him. Called the cops. Nothing happened after. The older man steps forward. Me too. Another voice. My cousin. Stories pile up. Quiet. Controlled. Heavy. The manager backs up a step. You're all exaggerating. The officer steps toward him. No, he says. You are. The officer turns to the woman. He says, we're going to need a statement. She nods. I'll give you more than that, she says. The officer pauses. What do you mean? She reaches into her bag. The guards tense. The manager smirks. See. She pulls out a slim black folder. Not a wallet. Not a receipt. The officer's eyes narrow. What's that? He asks. She meets his gaze. Something your department should have seen already. The store goes silent again. The officer reaches for the folder. And the manager realizes. This isn't just a complaint. The officer opens the folder slowly. Paper rustles. The sound is loud in the quiet store. What is this? He asks. Read it, she says. The manager crosses his arms. This is harassment. The officer ignores him. He scans the first page. Then the second. His brow tightens. The female officer steps closer. What is it? Incident reports, he says. Filed. Reviewed. Closed. The manager laughs. Anyone can print papers. The officer looks up. These aren't printed. He taps the page. They're internal. Silence drops. The woman watches the manager's face shift. Not panic yet. Calculation. The officer flips another page. Why do you have copies of police complaints? He asks her. She keeps her voice steady. Because patterns don't disappear when you ignore them. The manager snaps. That doesn't answer the question. The officer turns sharply. It does. He scans the names. Dates. Locations. All tied to this store, he mutters. The female officer's eyes widen. And nearby branches. The woman nods once. The manager steps forward. You can't just. Stop, the officer says. The word is final. The manager stops. The officer exhales and straightens. Dispatch, he says into his radio, run a background check on the reporting party. The manager smiles. There we go, he says. Finally. The woman's stomach tightens, not with fear, but timing. The female officer glances at her. Standard procedure. I know, she says. Minutes pass. Customers whisper. Phones stay raised. The officer listens to his radio. His posture shifts again. Straighter. More alert. Yes, he says. I understand. He looks at the woman. He says slowly, are you currently employed in a compliance or oversight role? The manager's smile falters. Yes, she answers. In what capacity? She pauses. Just long enough. Senior. The officer swallows. Senior, what? The manager cuts in. This is absurd. The officer snaps. Quiet. The woman speaks. Risk and compliance. The words land heavy. The female officer blinks. Corporate. She nods. The manager laughs. Nervous now. Lots of people work corporate. The officer listens to the radio again. Yes, he says. That's the name. His eyes lift. Lock on the manager. And yes, he adds, I see the connection. The manager's face drains of color. What connection? He asks. The officer doesn't answer. He turns the folder around. Shows the female officer. Her mouth opens slightly. This was escalated, she says. Multiple times. And ignored, the male officer replies. The woman feels the weight in her chest. Old frustration. Long buried. The officer looks back at her. Why didn't you identify yourself earlier? Because it wouldn't have mattered, she says. Not until now. The manager steps back. This is a setup. The officer steps forward. No, he says. This is documentation. The female officer's radio chirps. She listens. Nods. Corporate security confirmed, she says quietly. The manager stumbles. Confirmed what? The officer takes a breath. That she has authority. The store feels like it tilts. A customer whispers, oh. The manager shakes his head. Authority over what? The woman answers him. Over risk exposure, she says. Over liability. She meets his eyes. And over you. The officer straightens fully now. Sir, he says to the manager, we're going to need you to remain here. For what? The manager snaps. For questioning, the officer says. And documentation. The manager looks around. No one meets his eyes. He looks back at her. Anger. Fear. Something else. You planned this, he says. She shakes her head. You did, she replies. The officer's phone vibrates. He reads the message. Then looks up. Corporate is on their way, he says. The words hit like thunder. The manager's knees buckle slightly. The woman exhales. Not relief. Resolve. Because now, this is bigger than the store. The store manager sits down without asking. It's not a chair meant for him. Plastic. Too small. He doesn't notice. His eyes stay on her. You lied, he says. She doesn't answer. The male officer watches him closely now. Not as staff. As risk. No, the officer says. She didn't. The manager laughs again. It comes out cracked. You expect me to believe she just wandered in here on some audit? The woman finally speaks. I came to shop, she says. The audit happened when you opened your mouth. The female officer glances at the entrance. Two people in dark coats stand just outside the glass, talking into headsets. Corporate security. Phones go up again. The manager swallows. This is blown out of proportion. The officer responds flatly. You accused a customer of theft. Without proof. You detained her. You escalated. The manager snaps back. That's my job. The woman steps forward. No, she says. Your job is to protect the company. You exposed it. Silence stretches. One of the corporate guards enters. Quiet. Efficient. He says to her. Respectful. We're here. The manager's eyes widen. He repeats. She nods once. Lock down the transaction logs, she says. Preserve all footage. Yes, The words settle heavy. The officer shifts his stance. Subtle. Acknowledging. The manager's voice shakes. Who are you? She studies him. Not with anger. With clarity. I oversee compliance failures, she says. Civil exposure. Pattern behavior. He laughs weakly. You can't fire me. She doesn't blink. I can recommend it, she says. With evidence. The female officer glances between them. Recommend to who? She asks. The woman hesitates. Just a beat. Then she answers. The board. A low sound ripples through the crowd. The manager pushes himself up, then sinks back down. This isn't fair, he mutters. She tilts her head. Fair wasn't part of your process. The officer clears his throat. He says, for the record, what is your position? She looks at him now. Majority stakeholder, she says. Acting executive. The officer freezes. The store freezes with him. The manager's mouth opens. Closes. No, he whispers. The woman's voice is steady. Yes. Phones shake as people adjust grips. The older man near the door lets out a slow breath. The manager looks at the officer. She's lying. The officer doesn't respond. He keys his radio. Dispatch, he says, confirm ownership. A pause. Static. Then. Confirmed. The word echoes. The manager stares at the floor. The woman feels it then. The shift. Not triumph. Gravity. She looks around the store. At the cashier. The guards. The customers. This isn't about embarrassing you, she says. It's about stopping this. The manager laughs again. This time hollow. You'll ruin me. She answers softly. You already did. The corporate guard steps closer to the manager. Sir, he says, we need your badge. The manager clutches it instinctively. The officer raises a hand. Sir, he says, don't make this worse. The manager lets go. The badge drops into the guard's palm. The sound is small. Final. The female officer exhales. What happens now? She asks. The woman looks at her. Now, she says, we document everything. The guard's phone buzzes. He reads it. Then looks up. Corporate legal is requesting immediate interviews, he says. And HR. The woman nods. Good, she says. The manager looks up sharply. Interviews? He asks. With who? She meets his eyes. With everyone. The store feels colder. The officer looks at her. He says, this is going beyond our initial call. She nods. It always does, she says. The officer pauses. Then we'll need to secure the scene. He turns to the guards. Close the store. Gasps. The manager jerks upright. You can't. The officer cuts him off. Yes, we can. The doors begin to slide shut. And the woman realizes. This isn't just exposure. This is collapse. The voice on the speakerphone goes quiet. Too quiet. The regional director clears his throat. I wasn't informed this involved. The owner, she finishes. Yes, he says. I wasn't informed. She nods once. That's part of the problem. The manager stares at the phone like it might save him. The woman turns slightly, so everyone can see her face. This store isn't an exception, she says. It's a symptom. The regional director exhales. We can handle this internally. She shakes her head. You already did. And people paid for it. The officer watches closely. Not intervening. Learning. The female officer folds her arms. We've seen this before. The woman looks at her. That's why it ends now. Legal taps the tablet. We've reviewed the footage. Statements. Prior complaints. She looks at the regional director. There's enough here to justify immediate termination. The manager jerks upright. You can't fire me over accusations. Legal doesn't look at him. We're not. She turns the screen. We're firing you over evidence. The word fires lands hard. The manager's face drains. The regional director speaks quickly. Let's slow down. The woman cuts in. No. Silence. She steps closer to the manager. Not threatening. Certain. You didn't just accuse me, she says. You used authority to humiliate people who couldn't push back. He swallows. I was protecting the store. You were protecting your bias. The officer shifts his weight. Sir, he says to the manager, at this point, you're no longer part of this conversation. The manager looks around. At the customers. At the guards. No one meets his eyes. Legal slides a document across the counter. Termination effective immediately, she says. For cause. The manager stares at the paper. You can't do this in front of them. The woman answers softly. You did worse. The guard steps forward. Sir, he says, we need your keys. The manager hesitates. The officer's voice drops. Now. The keys hit the counter. Loud. The woman feels it then. A strange mix. Relief. And grief. Because this isn't victory. It's confirmation. Legal looks at her. We'll issue a statement. No, she says. Not yet. Legal pauses. Why? Because this story doesn't belong to us alone. She looks at the customers. Anyone who wants to give a statement will be protected, she says. No retaliation. No silence. The older man nods. I'll speak. The younger woman steps forward. Me too. The cashier wipes her eyes. I will. The officer glances at his partner. This is bigger than a store, she says. The male officer nods. We'll need to notify internal affairs. The manager laughs suddenly. Sharp. Broken. You think this ends with me? The woman meets his eyes. No, she says. I know it doesn't. The regional director's voice crackles through the phone. We can discuss next steps privately. The woman shakes her head again. No more private. She looks at legal. Open an internal review, she says. Region-wide. Legal's eyes widen slightly. That will expose everything, the woman finishes. A beat. Legal nods. Understood. The manager slumps fully now. The officer turns to him. Sir, he says, we're going to escort you out. For what? The manager snaps weakly. Failure to cooperate, the officer replies. And pending investigation. The cuffs don't come out. They don't need to. The guards walk him toward the exit. As he passes her, he stops. You think this makes you better? He mutters. She looks at him. No, she says. It makes the truth visible. The doors slide open. He disappears into the flashing blue light outside. The store feels different. Quieter. Heavier. Honest. Legal closes her tablet. This will ripple, she says. The woman nods. It should. The female officer approaches her. Are you okay? She asks. The woman thinks about the bag. The accusation. The cuffs. She thinks about how close it came. I will be, she says. The officer hesitates. Thank you. For what? For not letting this vanish. The woman looks around one last time. At the people who stayed. At the ones who spoke. At the ones who learned something too late. Her phone buzzes. She checks the message. Then stills. Legal notices. What is it? She looks up. Press is outside, she says. The officer exhales. The woman feels the weight settle again. Because now, This story is leaving the store. The cameras wait outside. Bright lights. Raised microphones. Familiar hunger. The woman pauses just inside the doors. She can hear them now. Is it true? Are you the owner? Was this racial profiling? The officer steps beside her. You don't have to speak, he says. She nods. I know. Legal leans in. We can issue a statement later. She looks at them both. Later is why this kept happening. The doors slide open. Noise rushes in. Questions overlap. Flashes pop. She steps forward. Her voice is calm. Even. Yes, she says. I own the company. The crowd stills. And yes, she continues, I was accused of stealing. A murmur ripples through the reporters. Because you're black, someone asks. She doesn't hesitate. Yes. The word lands clean. Heavy. She doesn't add more. She doesn't need to. Behind her, the store is dark now. Closed. Silent. The officer watches from the doorway. He feels something settle in his chest. Not pride. Responsibility. Inside, statements are being taken. The cashier's voice shakes as she speaks. I was scared, she says. I needed my job. Legal nods. That fear matters. The older man sits across from another representative. I've been waiting years to say this, he says. The woman hears it all as she moves back inside. Each story stacks. Quietly devastating. She feels the weight of them press down. Not guilt. Duty. Her phone buzzes nonstop. Board members. Advisors. Warnings. She ignores them. Legal approaches. Stock will dip, she says. Temporarily. The woman nods. Truth has a cost. So does silence, legal replies. The officer steps closer. Internal Affairs wants your statement too, he says. She looks at him. You'll protect the witnesses? He nods. I will. The female officer adds quietly, some of us are tired too. The woman studies her face. Then stay, she says. Be loud. The officer swallows. Outside, a chant starts. Small. Growing. Do better. The woman closes her eyes for a second. She feels the ache now. The moment when adrenaline fades. Her hands shake slightly. She thinks of her mother. Of warnings. Of lessons learned young. She opens her eyes. Legal hands her a tablet. Regional director resigned, she says. The woman exhales. Long. Not relief. Confirmation. This is spreading, legal adds. Other stores. Other regions. The woman nods. Good. The officer watches her closely. You okay? He asks again. She answers honestly this time. No, she says. But I will be. The guard approaches. Final walkthrough, he asks. She nods. They walk the empty aisles. Lights dimmed. Shelves quiet. This place accused her. This place taught her something too. At the exit, she stops. The guard looks at her. What happens now? He asks. She thinks for a moment. Now, she says, we decide what this becomes. Her phone buzzes again. A message from an unknown number. Thank you for saying something. She swallows hard. Because she knows. The hardest part isn't exposure. It's what comes after. The store reopens 3 days later. Different energy. Different faces at the door. The woman stands across the street, hands in her coat pockets, watching customers go in. No cameras now. No sirens. Just movement. Legal stands beside her. New management is in place, she says. Temporary. Carefully vetted. The woman nods. And the investigation? Active, legal replies. Multiple regions. External oversight. The woman exhales slowly. This is the part no one sees. The waiting. A man exits the store with a bag of groceries. He pauses when he sees her. You're her, he says. She smiles softly. I am. He nods once. Thank you. Then he walks on. The woman feels it hit her chest. Quiet. Heavy. Not applause. Recognition. Her phone buzzes again. A message from the board. We need to discuss next steps. She doesn't answer. Yet. She turns back to the store. The female officer from that night stands near the entrance now. Off duty. Watching. You came back, the officer says. So did you, the woman replies. The officer hesitates. I filed my report. The woman meets her eyes. I know. The officer swallows. It wasn't easy. Doing the right thing rarely is, the woman says. Inside the store, a sign hangs near the entrance. Zero tolerance for discrimination. Words are easy. The woman knows that. What happens to him? The officer asks. An investigation, the woman says. Civil court. Professional review. Jail? She shakes her head. Probably not. The officer looks disappointed. So he just walks away? The woman thinks of the bag. The cuffs. The silence. No, she says. He carries this. The officer studies her. You don't sound satisfied. I'm not supposed to be, the woman replies. The officer nods slowly. The woman steps closer to the entrance. Inside, the cashier from that night works a different register. She looks calmer. Older somehow. Their eyes meet. The cashier smiles. The woman nods back. That matters more than headlines. Legal checks her watch. The press will circle back, she says. They always do. The woman turns away from the store. Let them, she says. The work is here. She walks down the block. Each step feels heavier now that the danger is gone. Her phone buzzes again. Another message. Because of you, I spoke up too. She stops walking. She closes her eyes. This is the cost. This is the reason. She opens her eyes and keeps moving. Behind her, the store hums. Ordinary. Changed. Ahead of her, the city moves like it always has. She blends into the crowd. Just another black woman walking down the street. Except now, something has shifted. Not enough. But something. And for now, that will have to be enough.